Well, according to what's being put out recently about the economy and all these different things that are happening, you think the devil's here? Well, the devil's always already been here, right? Here he is. He's looking up over the thing 666. The devil's here. Um, well, I'm going to tell you some good news first, then I'm going to tell you some bad news, and I'm also going to give you a recommendation on something to buy other than silver, and probably something you won't expect at all. Because I'm not really here for the people that are just sitting in a lounge chair trying to get rich real fast. As you noticed, I put out a lot of other videos besides this type of silver market update stuff because I realize that the situation is where people are going to have to be hands on. And even if Trump, say Donald Trump, is everything he says he is, it's probably going to be too little too late if even if he got elected. For like a leader to just fix everything. In other words, I think things can get fixed, but it's going to be something whereby the people are going to have to do it. Now, there's good signs that the people are figuring some stuff out because, I noticed politically, here's Bill Clinton. He's planning his political strategy, reading his political strategy right now. He's trying to, like, boost Hillary's image of, like, vote for her because we're on the side of women's rights, like Bill Clinton sitting here right now, planning that political strategy for Hillary Clinton. Obviously, the way he treats women, which is pretty damn obvious the way he is with women, but and what that team is about. But a lot of people aren't buying it anymore because you saw what happened with Hillary. She got trounced. Now, what does that have to do with economics? It has actually a lot to do with it because when people they start to figure things out. I mean, all of a sudden she doesn't have as much support, and when people start figuring out, hey, the government can't save us, well, guess what? They're going to go out and work. They're going to do some real work. Hilda Beast is going down. I guess that's the good news right here. Here's Hilda Beast, and this is probably her future right now. FBI, or is probably going to indict her, arrest her, or something. I don't know what they're going to do with her. Probably. So I mean, the future is not going to be as bad as some of the doom and gloomers are pointing out. I also got to say something about some of the stuff with these doom and gloomer guys because there's always cycles. There's always hard times come about sometimes because people get well. What? Just look at even like what happens in the Bible with ancient Israel, right? The people get more corrupt and God punishes them, right? It's going on the same way with America. We've kind of lost our sight of like what's reality and what's fluff. But I also have to point out some stuff about, because they're bringing these guys out left and right that were wrong for like a million years. Now, I've been wrong about some stuff, but I could tell you some axioms, and I want to get to that pretty soon. But first, I want to give you a couple examples. Like, Harry Dent was one that's always predicting all these things that are going to happen. Like back in 2011, Harry Dent called for the Dow to be under 5,600 points by the year 2014. And, it went over 18,000, right? So it peaked, he was calling for it to go down when it was going up. Now, not to say that I don't think that he's basically right about the demographics and all this type of stuff, but, it's like these guys are just trying to make some money off of doom and gloom. And that's not what I'm doing because you're going to see something. What I'm going to even tell you another recommendation on something even totally unrelated to silver in a way that I think would be a better thing to put some money on than buying a few extra coins. Now, Harry Dent also called for the Dow to be 40,000 in 1999. When he had the big freaking market implosion and the tech bust. He also had an ETF called Dent, and it was delisted for bad performance. So here they're pulling these guys out, and like Lindsey Williams is getting pulled out again. I'm like, wow, man. When's it going to end with this shit? Never, I guess. I guess till, I guess the people are actually on the internet following this doom and gloom too much. They're part of the problem too. But let me give you some solid facts on some things. Like in Texas, the GDP is actually way down, and that's not quite obviously why, because of the oil industry. Now, I'm going to give you a couple axioms here because first of all, like an axiom, a postulate, like a given. It's like right in every circumstance. Commodities have always been noted for high risk, high reward. They could be very high risk, they could be very high reward. Depends on when you get in them. Depends on when you sell. You're always going to have to take the medium of exchange like even if, well, maybe it's going to be barter, but that's kind of like not that much of a reality situation unless we have a total economic collapse completely. I don't think it's going to that thing. I think the dollar is actually just going to lose a lot of its value, but it's not going to totally collapse. Just like the British pound lost a lot of its clout in the world. It was the number one. It was the world reserve currency. Uh, for many years, and all of a sudden, it's not that. It's still around now. It's not. It's not garbage. But everything. Every other country out there is not looking that good. Even including China. China's not looking that good. Russia's not looking that good. All these BRIC nations aren't looking that good. Um, there's a lot of corruption going on in all these nations. For as much as corruption that goes on in D.C., if you look at what's going on in the Chinese with the Chinese military, there's corruption going on there. There's corruption going on in the Russian military. I know the alternative media makes it look like everything's a problem over here in the United States. It's all over the freaking place. One of the advantages, though, we got is Americans, if they really wanted to apply themselves, they could do a lot more on their own. Um, now, I think though, like some of the situation that's coming up, where we can see, and you know what, this is not even like um, what happens like now only. It's happened before, but here I'm seeing, I got to put a funny picture up about this. Here's a farmer out west, like in Oregon. Here's the military on the bottom pointing guns at him or something, or whoever it is. The paid mercenaries, whatever. I don't even know if they're FBI. They're probably paid mercenaries. Everything I want to do is illegal. All I want to do is have a farm and graze some cows on it or some shit and bison and do my rancher thing. I've been doing that for the last 100 years, but everything I want to do is illegal because they got minerals on this land, and the money behind the scenes is paying people to get these guys off, or to influence the government to get them off, and all this kind of garbage. That's really what's going on. But you know what? That's really, this shit like that's been going on forever. I'm not saying it's right, but it's been going on like that forever. Um, Another axiom I want to point out there too. Yeah, like you're like if you're up here in Oregon and you got a ranch, hide your kids and hide your wife. Because the boogeyman's coming after you, man. They want your land. So, but I also realize, even I don't follow this stuff too much, but I put another video out on some stuff, and with some cat pictures and stuff, but I think it's pretty damn good. I think I really gave a rationale as to what happened with a lot of things out there. You might want to look at that. Maybe I'll post a link if you're curious. But I think that a lot of the stuff that's going on is purely over money. The elite are not going to fall that easily. You know why? Because these guys are freaking smart. They're not stupid. They're always working. The biggest problem is, people are thinking they're going to sit back, the thing's going to collapse, they're sitting on some, say, shiny silver coins, they're going to be filthy rich because they have silver, and it's going to be a walk in the park. And I'm like, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. You got to be kidding me. In the meantime, there's a lot of people that are in the doom and gloom, market, and they're telling you a lot of this stuff. They're telling you, like, subscribe to my newsletter, go, give me PayPal, go buy my DVD. And that's one of the, evangelist preacher out there. And I'm like, they're not really doing nothing for you, man. They're not doing anything. Now, I'm going to tell you something, what I'm going to recommend to you right now. Say you got, I don't know, a couple $100 for silver or something, not even 150, right? What I would recommend what you do, if you don't have a welder, because right now I've been realizing how important those stupid things are. Now, I got a Northern Industrial welder. It's a shit one. That's not bad. It's what, a 140 watt, and I got a Hobart, a little Hobart. Not bad. Uh, you get a Chicago Electric 90 amp, pure flux, no MIG, 109 bucks, and you go on your eBay and you pay 15 bucks for a 200 amp ground clamp that's made out of copper, and you get yourself some good flux wire from Lincoln, Miller, or Hobart, or Forney, or INE. Oh, it's an Italian made. That damn thing will work pretty good. And I always see, like, shit hits the fan. Oh, make a structure, make a dwelling, do this. Well, you know what? If you got a welder and you got even like a small generator, like a 90 amp welder would probably you could probably pump it on a generator, no problem, right? You work it on a generator, pretty not too much of a problem. Um, if you got something like that, and you even got a small generator, and or say the grid didn't go down, well, you know what? You can you can weld yourself up a freaking structure somehow. You could do a lot of stuff with that shit. A lot of stuff. Something made out of steel is a lot better than made out of wood. I could guarantee you that. I could guarantee you that all the way. Then you cover it up with some tarps and shit, and you got your survival shelter or whatever, right? In case the whole freaking everything goes down. I'm going to tell you to get that. If you got 150 bucks for silver right now, even though it's dirt cheap, yeah, I would say if you don't have a welder and you don't want to look, and you know what you do? You put that damn thing in a box that's um, like one of those Faraday cages, so it don't blow the circuit board in case we have an EMP attack or some bullshit, right? Get shit like that. That's what I do. I mean, I got silver up the yin yang. You know what I mean? It's like so I don't spend all my money on freaking silver. You know, I'm like freaking. I'm not stupid. I mean, what am I gonna do with these coins? Eat them? For crying out loud! Am I gonna be able to pound nails with these coins? No, no. Now, one good sign today. I'm showing here the sign of Satan. Yeah, one good sign here today. Well, I'll tell you what, these Satanists are freaking better than these freaking jihadists and stuff. No doubt about it. Relation. I saw some of this stuff on YouTube about what the Satanists believe in. Oh, we believe in reason. They're even against abortion, for crying out loud. Satanists are against abortion. I was like, wow, these people are better. They make the jihadists look like a bunch of freaking. They make the jihadists look like the bad guys. So anyway, but you know, the economy though is actually going down really bad because of what you're seeing in the car. See, I know, like, it had record sales in 2015 for new cars, right? Because the car fleet got really old in the United States and the gas prices were really low. Well, you know what? The car sales are going down now. Used car sales are going down. Motorcycle sales are going down. A lot of shit's going down right now. People aren't buying big ticket items. Look what's going on with Walmart. Walmart, I mean, they're not closing. A lot of these stores are closing, or some BS stores, but a lot of times Walmart, it should not be closing that many stores. I know part of it is because of online sales, but then again, a lot of Walmart sales are food sales, and they're funded by people with food assistance stamps. Economy's really bad. Now, I did point out before, probably one of the best things you could do is get into farming. That's one thing I haven't done yet, and I will be doing it after this winter because I'm thinking, whoa, being a city person, that's one thing I'm pretty damn unfamiliar with, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But let me say that, the other thing is with commodities, I want to put this other axiom out there. The lower they go, the higher they'll go. And that is because you can't just turn on a stream real fast. That's what the problem is. The lower commodities go, the higher they go. I put some stuff out about oil, I thought oil was going to be really high by 2015 or something, or 2014, and it went down. And yeah, I was wrong, okay? And you know what? I don't take down my videos. I leave them up there. I know a lot of people are really wrong, way wronger than I was, because I was kind of toning it down. I just figured they would have had a blow up in the Middle East by now, for crying out loud, but they didn't. But the more things that go on, like where Iran is being appeased with the deal, the nuclear deal, and they're breaking the deal and stuff like that, the contract, the deal, and now they're also freaking You're actually selling oil and investing in euros instead of dollars. Iran, right? I'm like, the more they allow all this crap to happen, the worse it's going to be. It's like, yeah, so I'm wrong on, I was thinking the thing would have blown up by now but since we got Obama and Valerie Jarrett in the White House, and they're pushing the policy towards appeasing, all the most radical elements in the Middle East, well, when it blows up, it's going to blow up that much worse. So oil prices, since they're so freaking low, they're below 30 right now. I know some people are saying 20, 10. I don't know if they're going down that far because that's a huge percentage jump down. It's not like it's going from 110 or 109 or 109 to 100, at 9% down. But when you're going from like 29 to 20, you're talking like, what is that? 9 times 5, that's like 40 something percent down, right? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Or something. Or one third down, whatever. At one third down. That's ridiculous. Um, and they're already, when you're looking at like the cargo ships, there's not that much stuff being transported. The other thing is too, when you're like when I was looking at the Baltic Dry Index, it's actually hitting more new record lows. But you just don't. The shipping industry right now is actually operating as a loss. But you do not um, just ship a few goods at a time. You got to have enough aboard that ship to keep going. In other words, there might be a cargo ship with a lot of bulk container items, and there might be a lot of smaller stuff on it. I don't know what maybe it's pharmaceutical stuff, and there's all these other things like machinery that's on there, right? Well, if you don't have enough of the big stuff, the big ticket items to go, you're not going to be able to ship the small items either because they're not going to send a ship that's only has going at 1/10 of its capacity, especially when it's already at a loss. We're operating at a loss. So there's going to be massive shortages, big shortages on a lot of essential items due to this slowdown in the economy. Sounds crazy, but that's just how it is. They're not going to be able to ship from one place. In other words, if you got all the big ticket items are slowing down, like heavy machinery, cars, raw steel, things like that. Aboard that same ship, they got like other things, like minor stuff. That's lightweight, but it's all in that same cargo. And they're not going to ship that minor stuff if they can't ship the heavy bulk because there's no demand for the bulk. So you might, like I said, there's going to wind up being shortages on stuff. Probably one of the best things you could do, like I said, is to really go old school all the way. Now, I just recommended something there besides silver, even though I think silver is a very good thing. And one of the big signs I saw in the recent days is about platinum and palladium have been going up while the markets have been going down. Now, I know platinum has went up a little bit too because there's some problem in South Africa with one of the biggest mines down there. But even palladium, mainly out of Russia, Norilsk mine in northern Siberia, that moving back up during times because palladium's like almost, it's vastly mostly industrial. If you're seeing the Baltic Dry Index go way down, which means industry's going way down, you're seeing the markets go way down, and even oil's going down. Palladium going back up is telling me that people are going into it strictly as a safe haven investment. Kind of interesting. I know it's got hammered. I mean, it used to be almost $900 so not that long ago, and it went down to that went down to about 58% of its value roughly, but it'll go back up. I think it's actually going to go exceed the price of gold eventually. I'm patient with it. I think it's going to go back up really high. Um, but before you go mess around with any of these metals, you ought to be thinking about survival stuff. I know on YouTube there's a lot of stuff out there like, make an igloo, make a lean-to out of freaking tree branches. How to build a fire, how to do this. And that's good stuff to know. But we're not going to actually go down in like that far, like where it's going to be everything's going to collapse, and we're going to have to go back to primitive society from like 400 years ago or something, or even past that. No, I don't think so. Um, Actually, I'll tell you, one of the things you probably do want to get is a welder, and you don't want to blow a lot of money on it. I know that because you can spend as much as you want. Just get yourself a cheapy flux welder, you know, 90 amp, something that doesn't run off too much. You could do a lot with that. All these rich bastards with their Mercedes, they're all, they turn up being abandoned somewhere, and they're broken because they got all electronics in them. Well, you can cut them up and make stuff out of it. You can make shelters out of them or whatever, right? So, what is that? And I think, what is it, 109? I'm not selling this shit. 109 for Chicago Electric 90 amp or Harbor Freight. It's a Chinese one, but it works. And they're not that great, but they will be improved with a $15 200 amp um, pure copper ground. And you might as well get that pure copper ground now because it'll probably be $40 later on because of the copper in it. And you put that on there and you get some of the better flux wire and you're in business. That damn thing, you could do a lot of stuff with that for survival, man. Strengthen a lot of stuff, fix your rides, cars, motorcycles, bicycles. You got a busted bicycle frame, whatever, man. Maybe the crank pin on your bicycle's all screwed up or something, or the sprocket screwed up, or the sprocket screwed up on your motorcycle from the main shaft coming out of the transmission. You got to get a new main shaft for the transmission, pull the whole thing apart, and you're like, how do I fix this? Well, what you do is you weld the sprocket to the main shaft. You know what I mean? Or say like you blow the spider gears in the rear of your car or some shit. Well, make it into a redneck locker, man. You just weld it all up. You weld the whole rear end solid. You got a direct drive, man. You actually just made your car into a freaking if you do it right, you just made your car into a high traction car. So you got a rear wheel drive car, all rear wheel drive car, and you weld up those spider gears and you weld them up solid and you do it right. Well, you got yourself a two wheel drive car back there, and it's practically an off road buggy without paying like mega dollars, right? So what was that, 109 for Harbor Freight welder, $15 for a clamp, and then you get the good quality flux wire from like Forney, Miller, Hobart, Lincoln, or INE which that one's made in Italy. So, just like people do in other countries, like this is like a country that, what was this, India or something? They got ways of figuring out how to do stuff on the fly, not by the book. That's what you got to be thinking of for survival. Like, I don't think we're going into where you're going to have to go to square one and everything's going to collapse. No electricity is going to work, and, you're going to have to live out in the woods in a pup tent. It's not going to be that freaking crazy, but you're going to have to improvise. So tools and equipment are very important. And I think a lot of people are going to be skinny in the near future. Americans are mainly overweight. Um, I think 5 years from now, there's going to be a lot of skinny Americans out there for sure. There's no doubt about that, man. It's going to be like everybody's going to be skinny. It's not going to be like, oh, you're so skinny, that's so cool. Everybody's going to be skinny because there's not going to be enough food around because there are people who don't want to spend as much on food because it's going to be so damn expensive. That's really where things are going. So, I could tell you about, oh yeah, the Bank International Settlements is doing this or whatever. Yeah, fine. Common sense goes further. And I'm telling you though, right now, it's like I just gave the example with Harry Dent, also Lindsey Williams, also even this guy in Goldman Sachs. I forgot the guy's name years ago, and because I read a lot of stuff and I don't remember all of it. But the guy in Goldman Sachs, he predicted, besides the Ken Fromm guy from Lindsey Williams, that oil was going to go up to $150 a barrel in 2008. But then you know what happened after that? He predicted it was going to go from 150 to 200, and it went down. So like a lot of times people are right once in a while, and then they're wrong. So I'll tell you like some axioms here because the axioms, I'll repeat them. Silver, commodities, and any kind of commodities, that could be agricultural commodities too, are high risk, high reward. Potentially very high risk, potentially very high reward. In the case of agricultural commodities, if you're investing online, you can't trust what the hell they're doing online. If you're actually investing in it physically, you got to watch how you store it because you can lose your ass because of problems the way you store whatever you're storing, whether it's wheat or hay or whatever the hell it is, or rice or whatever. If the bugs get in and stuff and ruin it. Um, if the bugs get in the rice, you know what they do, just like on the ships, just cook them. It's extra meat. But, the other side of it is that, even when it goes too high, what happens though, anytime commodities go too low, they wind up going too high. And the reason they go too high is because you just can't turn the spigot on again. I guess I should say this again because I said it before in another video. There's like a couple plans with these low oil prices. I don't think it's just haphazard with the demand is so low and stuff, because the demand actually is coming on pretty well in a lot of other nations, not in the United States. The demand in the United States has actually been ebbing a little slower, also even in Europe. But demand globally for oil has actually been going up a little bit because there's more people using small engines. Either it's on the farms or it's for transportation or motorcycles. There's more and more people driving a car throughout the world. So demand globally for oil is actually going up. Now, even though it's not going up in the United States and in Europe. So I think there's a scam going on here because it's between the Saudis and the United States to crush Russia financially, which I don't think they're going to do. And that's one part of the scam. The other part of the scam is to crush the oil industry, but it's not just by the Saudis, it's also by the elite in the United States. The elite want to buy up that oil industry on pennies for a dollar when it collapses. And when they do so, they already got the laws in place whereby they can export oil now for the first time since, was it the 70s? Like when we had that 1973 Arab oil embargo and they had the gas lines in 73. Well, they passed a law in the United States. Most oil products could not be exported. There's a few that could be, but most couldn't be. Just recently, in the face of rapidly declining oil prices and a big oil glut, they said, oh, you can export oil. But I'm thinking, why would they really want to pass that law, considering it's not really profitable to even, set up oil mines and stuff? The fracking industry in the United States has no longer largely not become profitable. And I'm thinking they passed that law because in the future, as the dollar loses power, loses clout in the world, like it's not going to lose all its clout, but it's going to be diminished in power. They'll sell the oil overseas to any other country that's strong, that has financial strength, that has something they can give to it in exchange for the oil. In the meantime, so as the oil industry is going belly up here in the United States, somebody's buying all that stuff up for pennies on a dollar. The banks are taking it over. You see the plan? See, I think this is all deliberate. So, the other thing is, though, I got to warn you about precious metals. I said this on other videos, but if it goes up really, really high, they're going to try to tax the shit out of it, okay? They're going to put an excise tax on it. They're going to do all kinds of crap. So, I got to recommend you, like, getting tools, getting firepower. I don't want to put too much stuff out about firepower and guns on my videos, even though I know a lot of shit, because I don't know who the hell watches it. That's one thing I've been refraining about saying stuff like that, because I say one thing here, a little bit here, but I don't tell too much. I know a lot of shit on that stuff, probably way more than anybody does well, not anybody, but a lot more people that post stuff. But I can tell you though that I refrain from doing that, but because I don't know who the hell I'm telling it to. That's the problem, I gotta be telling it to the bad guys, so I don't say nothing. But that's an important thing too, because as society gets, well, it's not going to collapse. It never does all the way. But as society loses these benefits to everybody that been used to getting them, crime's going to go up. So you're going to have to protect your ass. So anyway, just want to do a quick update here, and I hope people aren't getting, well, people do whatever they want. You know, it's almost like me telling people not to go have people watch PewPie die because it's a waste of time. I don't know what but do whatever you want. I mean, if you like freaking watching doom and, but I can tell you, I don't really pay attention to these guys that are telling you about, the Bank of International Settlements, the IMF is doing, oh, the elite are doing this, oh, they got a plan to do this. These guys have been wrong for years. I gave you a couple examples. They've been wrong for years, many years. Um, and they're just out there to make a buck off you. That's all they're doing. So right now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you got, so what is silver right now? $15 or something? Maybe it's, I don't know, $17. So maybe you could buy, I don't know, 8 ounces for like 140 something bucks. Is that about right? Well, instead of doing that, I would tell you to get the Chicago Electric Welder or the Harbor Freight 90 amp little flux only welder with go on eBay, get yourself a 200 amp freaking copper ground, and I tell you to get some of the good high quality flux wire from like Miller, Hobart, Forney, or INE, or whatever, Lincoln, and do that instead. I tell you to do that if you don't have nothing like that, because you'll be able to do a lot more with that than you ever could with silver. Just to buy a few more ounces of silver, right? You gotta diversify your investments, and by diversifying your investments, I'm talking about um, not something online. I'm talking about physical investments. You have to diversify your physical investments, and a lot of people aren't doing that. I don't know why, but whatever. If you don't have a generator, get a generator. Get something. I mean, that will run you more money, though. That'll run you. Well, it depends on what you want. If you get a diesel generator, it'll really run you some money. I got a diesel generator. But you can always get, or even just get an inverter that you can run off your car. With your car battery, some shit for a little bit if you need to. Do stuff like that and food, because people are solely concentrated on firepower. I mean, firepower, solely concentrated on the metals. You're not gonna, you're not. It's not gonna do you any really good if you're when a real crisis situation comes. A lot of these people are just looking for giddy rumors. They're following around these. I already see what's going on because I'm like, wow, the average person's screwed up, man. I mean, I can't do nothing about that. I can't do nothing about that. I mean, they just gravitate to bullshit. As a matter of fact, the videos that I put out, which I don't even try to put these out like and push them really hard, but once in a while I'll address some subject like, is there a hollow Earth? Which when you get into that, there could be something to it. It's not as crazy as you think. Um, I put something out like that, I realized, holy smoke, where the hell are these views coming from? Well, I'm realizing, people are just like that. If you're talking about there was a 1930s story I had out there about there was a true story in the 1930s about a newspaper article about a guy going down these mine shafts in Indian folklore about lizard people under Los Angeles. So I put something out about that. I figured it was interesting. I wasn't trying to like be a conspiracy blogger or some shit. And I'm like, whoa, where does all these views coming from? you know, I'm thinking, this is the nature of people. If I put out something about the Martians have been running Earth from behind the scenes, and people be running to that shit. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with people? That's why, when people gotta freaking have to think like common sense, then the shit's gonna get straightened out. I know, I like what Donald Trump says, but that guy, even if he's legit all the way, one guy is not gonna fix the whole nation. No way in hell. We gotta fix the freaking nation. We gotta, piece at a time, brick at a time, one plant at a time that you grow in the ground, one weld at a time that you weld or something up out of scrap 2015 Mercedes, and whatever, to make a shelter or something, or to make some kind of irrigation or whatever. So Just talking plain common sense, and that's about it. And like I says, anything even I said before that was wrong, basically it's going to be right. Because even though I expected the shit on the metals to go up by now and the oil to go up, the fact that they got even hammered more than I thought, it means they're going to go up higher. You just can't turn on the oil wells and the mining industry and just say flip a switch and it's all on. Once the freaking investor money starts pouring into that kind of shit, and once the demand comes in there because of warfare, which is always brings up commodities and oil, it's going to go right through beyond what you expect. And then, of course, people are never going to sell because it's going to go to the moon, right? I will be buying, at that time, I'll be buying stuff that's depressed, which might be, I don't know, land. It might be, Bobcat tractor or some bullshit, Caterpillar thing or some shit. Something you understand, I don't know that stuff, but, say some kind of machinery like that, I might be buying something like that because I know that kind of stuff will be cheap. Nobody will be buying that. Capital asset that's going to work for a long period of time. So anyway, that's my update. Use your common sense. Don't worry about getting rumors, and I'm going to try to put out other stuff that's going to be useful to you, other than these psychological pep talks, which they mainly are. And I'm actually telling you the facts, but I'm not trying to keep you in the right positive frame of mind at the same time.